Hello, hello. All right, so it says my microphone is muted. So let's see, make sure that that's fine. All right, I think you guys, okay, I got it. Okay, so you can hear me. Had to check my microphone, y'all. Okay, so today we are going to talk about, I know, I'm in my living room, okay? It's late, but I wanted to come on here even though I wanted to go to bed. I did. I will admit it. But I wanted to talk to you guys about assessments, okay? So, and I know you guys don't care about how that I'm in a sweatshirt or that I'm in my living room because it's really about the knowledge that hopefully I give you, okay? All right. So we're going to talk about assessments. All right. What assessments does your children or child need? Assessments are important, okay? Assessments will really change everything for your child. And, I always, when I work with my clients, I ask for specific things. Hey, Erin, how are you? So the things that I ask for are really the same for all my clients, but then I just cater the email towards the individual child. Okay. So when I'm asking, when I'm working with a client and I'm sending my first email and I'm basically taking over the team at that moment in regards to the communication and the emails, hey, Christina, and all of that stuff. And, I always like to individualize it, but it is really very similar. Okay. So when I go through these, this is my email, and then I'm going to go through a breakdown for you of not just some of the assessments and some of my favorites. Okay. And I'll tell you why. Okay. And you guys need to maybe get a piece of paper and a pen and write this stuff down because it's important stuff. Like, this is it. You have present levels and you don't get them just because. Okay. They come from somewhere. All right. So post a 1 below if it's your first through third time catching me live. I'll introduce myself in a second. I'm kind of doing it backwards. It seems to be how my life is, but we'll just go from there. All right. So post a 1 below if it's your first through third time catching me live. Post a 2 below if you're an oldie but goodie. Okay. The reason I want you to post a 1 below is because I actually really want to get to know you. Tell me your name. Tell me where you're from. If you're interested in joining my group, just put in the group or the search bar, I guess, in Facebook, Autism Mama Rocks the IEP group, and it'll take you right over there to the group. And it's just an amazing women, grandmothers, mothers, fathers, and just really awesome people, and they have learned a lot from each other, and I just think that's so awesome. And then I obviously contribute, but there's so many people now that I'm so glad that I have moms and caregivers and grandmas. I mean, grandmas are awesome, by the way, because there's so many of them who support their children and their children's children who have special needs. So I just want to give you guys some kudos because I think it's pretty awesome. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Raven Woods. I'm the CEO and founder of Autism Mama Rocks the IEP, and I help parents gain the knowledge and the confidence, hopefully, right, to become the CEO of their IEP meeting. So post a 1 below if it's your first through third time catching me live. Post a 2 below if you're an oldie but goodie, okay? And definitely join the group. I think you'll like it. If you don't, leave. But it's something to try, and I think that, any little bit of information that can help us in this journey, why not, right? And make sure to share this, okay? You got to share the love. Yes, you got to love those nanas. And guess what, Heather? My daughter-in-law right now, as we speak, is in the hospital having a baby. So I'm excited about that. It wasn't expected, kind of 2 weeks early, but she's going to be induced tonight or early tomorrow morning, and nobody can be there. It sucks. And my son is on his way home from Georgia. He's in the military, and so he's hurrying home to be with her while she's in the hospital because she's there by herself because they only will take one person, and so nobody wanted to take Justin's spot. So Justin is on his way. I think he's in North Carolina now. I just talked to him about 15 minutes ago. So I'm a little nervous, excited. You know, my first child 25 years ago, I was induced with her, and that was quite the experience. I had an epidural. She basically fell out. I had no idea because I was so numb. Yeah, those are my stories. I literally had a story for each child. I have 3. So, okay, so let's get started. All right, so in my email, I'm going to start with that, okay? So when I send an email to a team, you know, when I'm working with my clients, I take over the emails. They actually really love that because then they don't have to deal with it. And they actually think it's quite funny because I don't play. You guys know that. But at the same time, I just go for it. And then people are all of a sudden on alert and things start to happen. They're like, oh my God, I never thought this would happen. They never listened to me like that. What did you do? But I'm just very thorough and to the point. And, you know, I always say to everybody, it's never always a one and done. You know, it's a process. But at the end of the day, we need to get somewhere, right? And that somewhere needs to be where your child gets what's needed and appropriate for them. If not, you fight and you get it. And you have to be strong. You have to be determined. And you definitely have to, you know, have that oomph in your gut that as hard as it can be, as much as sometimes you just want to give up because you feel like you don't have any other choice and they back you into a corner, remember that's your turning point. I guarantee you, every time I have a parent, let's just say mediation, okay? Every time they're like, well, you know, maybe I just need to agree to this, you know, they're not bending. No, it's who gives up first, guys. Don't let it be you. You know, me, I'll stay here all night. I'll play the game back and forth. I know how to play tennis. But what you want to do is just keep going. Let them know that you mean business. And you need to mean business. All right? You have to have in your head, if I go to do process, I'm strong enough to do it. All right? That's what you got to say to yourself. But at the same time, you don't give up in mediation. You don't just say, oh, okay. No, because when I'm asking for something in mediation, guys, guess what? I'm going to get 99.999% of it. Why? Because what I'm asking for is what your child needs. That's not negotiable. Right? So, all right, so let's move on. So I asked for, all right, a psychoeducational. Okay, well, that's a pretty big word, you know? It can be all over the place. So here's what I say, all right? I say I want a full formal evaluation, a psychoed, which is a big term for a lot of little pieces, okay? And I say I want it to address cognitive ability, IQ, visual memory, executive functioning, and attention. Okay? That is pretty much what a psychoed does. All right? And then, of course, it does your math and your reading, but it's just a little bit of a lot of things. Okay? That's what a psychoed is. So remember, don't always ask for a psychoed because it's just going to give you a little bit here, a little bit there. People make that big mistake of, I want a psychoeducational. That's what I want. I want a psychoed. I had a psychoed. Okay, well, I looked at a psychoed today, and it was the Vinland and the Woodstock Johnson, and it was horrible. Horrible. It told me nothing about the child. Zero. So you need to make sure that the assessments are really pretty much catered to your child. So what that means is that it matches them as best as possible and where their needs are. Here's an argument that you may come up with or may come and find you when it comes to assessments. A lot of times they'll say, oh, we're going to do this, 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 and this, because technically speaking, the school has choice of the evaluations. Not so cool, right? So lately, as of late, I will say for the last year and a half, I've not put up with that anymore. And I will never put up with that again. And OSEP has honestly supported it. Not me per se, but just in general, because you're a team. You can't break that team because somebody may be more, educated than the parent. They're definitely not more educated than me. It's probably equal to. So my thought process is I'm just as qualified to choose the evaluations just like you. Because the thing is pretend I wasn't a teacher, but pretend that I don't have a master's degree. Just pretend I'm just a mom, which is amazing in itself. I mean, none of my degrees got me where I am today with the IEP. None of them. So, bottom line, my thought process is, okay, I'm a mom. And at the end of the day, I'm a mom. And I know my kids. And I don't care if you have 2 PhDs, you don't know my kid any better than me. That's just fact. So these people, okay, that are at first, a while ago, in the past, let's just say in the past, in charge of choosing our children's assessments, okay, they're not experts in the assessment. The owners, Pearson and Renaissance, who's the owner of Star, and all of them, they're the experts. There's not one teacher or administrator that I know, and I meet a lot of them, that are experts in the WISC or the Wyatt or the KTEA or the STAR exam. So at the end of the day, what does it come down to? You. Because you know your child best. You know what is the most important things to focus on. You know that, hey, at the end of the day, this is where my child needs to go. And the idea supports that. Why? Because at the end of the day, we want our kids to be able to function in the daily world as best as possible. And that's what it says. So you have to have a little bit of academic with a little bit of daily living. Okay? So I love having certain assessments, like my favorite is the KTEA. Okay? I like the KTEA the best because it really covers things that many of them do not. All right? So, for example, and the KTA 3 is the one that's out now. That's another thing that you want to keep tabs on. The WISC 5 is out now. You want to make sure those numbers are the most up to date. All right. A lot of schools will keep the old ones and do the old ones and not keep up with the assessments as they change. And they change for a reason. And there's something changed within that exam that they're doing to make it better. So schools need to keep up with that. So always, always, always ask. They'll say, oh, we don't need to tell you what exams. They'll just check boxes because all of a sudden our kids are check boxes or drop down boxes, which is what IEPs are these days. They're automatically filled in and then they change up what they're checked. And, I can't tell you how many IEPs I'm in that there's a check box or a drop down box and they'll say, oh, we can't add that because that's not in the drop down box. I'm sorry, my kid's not a drop down box. I mean, what the heck? So yeah, the KTEA is really good when it comes to, you have little things like letter naming or object naming and associational fluency, phonological awareness. That one is a big one for me. And then it also obviously has the information and the vocabulary and the matrix reasoning. It has figure weights. It has block design. I know that's probably foreign to some of us, but it breaks down. So block design is like more a visualization. The figure weights is like a general sequential reasoning, how they reason. Then another thing that I really like about the KTEA is that it really spreads out that spectrum. All right. So it spreads it out in a way that when you see the exam, all right, when you see it broken down, if they do it right, is amazing. And it's a way that you will understand. All right. So I'll give you an example. I I printed out some stuff so I could go over it with you. All right, so memory is one that the KTEA is really big on, and working memory is something that a lot of our kids are struggling with. The other one that actually is really good with that is the Whisk 5. That would be my second favorite, all right? But sometimes I go to the Whisk 5 versus the KTEA dependent on the child, okay? Another one that I really like is the CTOP 2, all right? So let me finish going through my I'm getting off track because I love assessments. All right, so the next thing is speech. All right, so for speech, if your child needs speech, all right, what I say is I want a comprehensive speech evaluation, speech and language evaluation, that includes assessments of spoken and written language, phonemic awareness, phonological working memory, phonological retrieval, and social communication. Okay, I also wanted to focus on expressive, receptive, and pragmatic language. Okay, so good assessments in speech. You got your papers? All right, you have the GFTA 3. Amazing exam. All right. Then you have the Castle 2. That's CASL 2. And you guys can look these up. All right. But I'm telling you, I love them. All right. So look them up. So you have GFTA 2. Oh, 3. Sorry. And then that's the Castle 2. CASL 2. Okay. And there's also the NNAT. That one that's not my favorite, but it is a good one for certain children. All right, so you got to figure out what one's going to be good for you. I want you guys to do that type of research. I'm going to give you my favorites and the main ones that I would suggest as a mom. Okay, not even as an advocate. I do as an advocate, but as a mom, these are the ones I would want my child to have. All right, post your questions below. I promise to answer your questions. And for those of you who are hopping on, we're talking about assessments. What are the best ones for your child? My name is Raven Woods. I'm the CEO and founder of Autism Mama Rocks IEP, and I help parents gain the knowledge and the confidence to become the CEO of their IEP meeting. So welcome. Post a 1 below if you are new. Third time catching me live. Post a 2 below if you're an oldie but goodie. All right, so post your questions as I go, okay? So the next thing is, so let's recap. So psycho ed, I like the Whisk 5, the Wyatt 3, the KTEA, and one other that you may not think about. After you have one of those, so the Whisk, the Wyatt, the KTEA, those are called norm referenced assessments. All right. So a norm referenced assessment is an assessment that is given to your child and then they are compared to other children of their age. All right. And then there's like a percentage and a percentile of where they fell within their age group. All right. So that's what's a norm reference test. All right. So here's the genius in what I really like about this. All right. So that is a psychoeducational evaluation. And the next thing I want done after the norm reference test is done, because what does that do? It breaks down. You see where your child is very low or average or above average or wherever they are, right? So when you see where your child is struggling in those norm-based assessments, then comes the curriculum-based assessment. All right, so if you have a good psychologist within your school who knows how to do a good curriculum-based assessment, that is when they take the norm-based assessment, the Whisk, the Wyatt, KTA, or whatever it is that's given, and those deficits, those weaknesses, and they do a curriculum-based assessment on areas and in areas of the weakness. So that's when the psychologist will sit down with your child and work on those areas so that they can really focus in on exactly where the problem is happening. Pretty cool, right? So then what happens? You have this norm-based assessment that are really good, and then you have this curriculum-based assessment that is really good if you have a good psychologist, and then you put them together. So you have, okay, here's the weaknesses, And now I found where the weakness came from. Does that make sense? So then what happens? You have amazing present levels of exactly where the baseline was, exactly where your child is, and exactly where their weaknesses are, so that they can then, what happens? Turn into goals. Every area of the present level dictates everything else in your IEP. So your present levels have to be on point. Exactly. So the more assessments you do, and that's an argument I want you to argue with your teams, is one, you need to know what exams they are, period. Number two, and the reason you want to know what exams they are is because you want to make sure that it's catered towards your child, meaning that it's going to work for them. Why would you give someone the Stanford Binet assessment if it's not going to work for them? That's not even a great exam anyway. So, and that's what this child had, a Stanford Binet and a Vinland. Those are two very, very, very general, basic, blah exams, and tell you very little. So for a school system who did that, I'm just not happy with them at all, and I wrote them an email today and I said, this is disgusting. I said, I'm going to give you one more chance to do these assessments that I'm asking, or the parent wants an IEE. If not, take them to due process. We don't care, because the problem is schools cannot just throw out assessments that they feel like getting, that they're comfortable with. Have you ever heard that? Schools will say, oh, well, we don't use that one here. Well, let me look and see if that's an assessment we use. I hear this all the time. Well, I'm not sure if that's an assessment that we have here, but I'll look. No, you either know you have it or you don't, and I don't really care if you have it. Go buy it because the child needs it. So don't think that you have to fall into this general pot that they're just used to brewing. I just don't get why schools, they'll say that. They'll say, oh, well, we don't have that in this school system. I don't care. Go get it. If the child needs it, go get it. Go fishing. So don't settle, okay? Don't settle. So the next thing I ask for is if the child needs occupational therapy, right? So whose child out there needs occupational therapy? All right, so occupational therapy, I'm a little bit more open, okay? I will say, especially for, as they get older, I really like the test of handwriting, okay? That's a good assessment. A lot of kids are in OT just for handwriting sometimes. So there's the test of handwriting is what it's called, okay? And then the other good one for OT is the BOT2. So it's a BOT-2. All right. So that's another good one. The BOT2 is something that PT can also do. All right. So PT or OT. But then the handwriting one is strictly OT. Okay. And then I also want a VMI. Okay. That's a visual motor integration. All right, and it's a subtest. This one is, which is motor coordination, and another subtest is visual processing, and I like those as well. And then the other thing that I really like to have a child get is, it's called a sensory profile. So that's another good thing to have. All right. So then the next thing I ask for, if your child, okay, so there's things I take away if the child doesn't have a behavior. So the next thing I'm going to say is an FBA. All right. I always ask for an FBA if the child has any behavior issues. And when you think, oh, my child doesn't have behavior issues, my child's fine. Well, if your child has sensory issues that cause them to do certain things that may be disruptive, that may not be disruptive to you, but could be disruptive in the classroom, in the gen ed classroom, you got to think, gen ed classroom, quiet, 28 kids, teacher teaching? Is there anything that your child could do that would be disruptive? I don't care if it's something simple like breaking a pencil or, making noises or whatever. Those are things that can be worked on. Whether it stops or not, there's still things that it could, qualify your child to have services. Why not, I'm a firm believer in services. I know a lot of schools recently have started saying, well, we don't want to take them out of gen ed to give them services. Well, hello, if your child really needs services, they ain't going to do anything in gen ed anyway unless they have the damn service, so the damn service can help them and they can be put in the gen ed. I mean, I'm like, why do people say things so backwards? Am I the crazy one? Tell me, please. I will understand. I will not hold it against you. I just want to know, am I crazy for thinking, okay, you're telling me that I want to keep the kid in the LRE. Well, so do I. But then you then tell me, but we want to keep the kid in the LRE and we don't want them to have 3 times a week speech at 30 minutes because we want to keep them in the LRE. So, me being the nerd I am, I think about that and I'm thinking, does that make any logical sense? And in my mind, again, tell me if I'm crazy, no, it makes no sense. If a child needs speech 3 times a week, there's a reason for that. So basically the school's saying, yeah, we know your child needs speech 3 times a week, but we're not going to take them out of the class because we want to keep them in the LRE. But they're not really learning that much in that class because they can't speak and they have speech issues, and that's a deficit that is going to affect them in what? Daily living. If you don't have that, what's going to happen? So you got to take them out, put them in the service, let them get better at what they're doing and what they're practicing and what they're getting help with, and then they're going to be free as a bird to be in the gen ed classroom. Parents do not want their children just in therapies just because they need therapies. They want them in therapies because it's needed and appropriate for them at that time. We hope that they never need therapies again, that it works and they never need it. But when they need it, they better be in it. And if they have to leave social studies to go do speech, I'll tell you, I don't know about you, but for me, hell yes, put my child in speech. If my child can't talk, has any type of speech issues, I don't care if it's just a speech impediment or something minor. If your child needs speech, they should be in speech. There should never be an excuse of, oh, we don't want to take them out of the gen ed classroom. Okay, well, you pick and choose when you take them out. Okay, you can take them out of something that is not as important. Is everything important? Sure, but you have to pick and choose just like you have to with goals, okay? If a child has 25 deficits, all right, you can't give them 25 goals and think that they're going to be successful. You got to pick and choose what's going to be the most appropriate, the most important, play around with it and make sure that there's a variety and that sort of thing. You have to think outside the box. You can't, say, oh, no, we're not taking them out of the LRE, so we're going to keep them in that and we're not going to put them in OT. But then you have a child that has sensory issues that is completely affecting them, and they're supposed to just deal? I don't think so. All right. So the next thing I ask for is adaptive behavior. All right. So I see y'all's questions. Keep posting. I promise I'm going to answer them. It may be tomorrow, but I promise I'm going to answer them. I see your question, Dorothy. I see your question, Jen. All right, I promise, just keep asking. And post a 1 below if you are new, your first through third time catching me live. Post a 2 below if you're an oldie but goodie, okay? So we're talking about assessments. We're going through what I specifically asked for, and then I'm going to tell you a little bit about some things. All right, so the next thing I ask for is adaptive behavior. All right, so there's the BASC 3. All right, there's the ABAS 3. All right, and then there's the Vinland 2. All right, so BASC 3, B-A-S-C 3, there's the ABAS 3, and there's the Vinland 2. Those are my favorites. All right, and some of them are just fillables, but that's important because the teacher does it, you do it, and I actually think it's really cool comparing y'all two because sometimes you're like right on the money, you're both like exact, and then there's sometimes where you're completely opposite and you're like, okay, what's going on here? That should make you think. Those are the little things, that happen that should make you think. Like, why is their answer so far apart from yours? You know what I mean? Like, did you maybe put answers that were not as real because you have high expectations of your children, and we can kind of do things like that because we cater to them? Or is it because the teacher was just not being transparent? I mean, so you got to figure out, when there's questions, answer them, think about them, write it down and ponder on it for a little bit, but figure it out. You always, again, ask questions. Okay. Hi, Nicole. How are you? All right. Welcome. Is it Quinitria? Welcome. Welcome. All right. So yes, post a 1 below if it's your first or third time. Catching me live, post a 2 below if you're an oldie but goodie. All right. So the next thing I love, especially if it is needed, okay, is assistive technology. So for children who have, gosh, any type of speech issue, sometimes even behavior issues, sensory issues, assistive technology can help with a lot of things, all right? It's not just for nonverbal, okay? So there is ProWriter is one, that you can learn. There's different assessments out there, and programs. I shouldn't say assessments. It's program. There's assessments that you're given. Like, ProWriter is a type of assessment that tells you the type of system that will work for you, if that makes sense. All right. So ProWriter is not a app. It is a assessment given to your child. Okay. So, and that's, and I always say that if the child needs, and I know you may not think this at first, but I'm telling you, put it in your IEP, is if your child needs assistive technology, it always should be in your IEP that you get at least 2 hours of training a month. If you don't use it, awesome. If you do, it's there if you need it. You can put that into your IEP. The next one I love is the CTOP 2. Okay, that's CTOPP 2. And that one is good at identifying, underlining phonological processing skills. All right. And it can also identify LD, learning disability. All right. Where does that lead? Dyslexia, dysgraphia. Okay. Down that road, which is important. Here's something that I will tell you. Schools do not want to label a child with dyslexia. The problem with that is going to be a huge disservice to your child. Dyslexia can affect them across the board and in all aspects of life, but is easily fixable. Not fixable as in you're just going to make it better and they're going to be amazing readers and this, that, and the other. But it's one of those things where it's something that can be helped in so many ways, all right? If the how is done properly, all right? I love Orton Gillingham. I love Linda Mood Bell. That's called structured literacy, which is Orton Gillingham. And, you have different programs. Wilson is good, but you need to have certified instructors in the ones that require certification, like Orton Gillingham. Wilson, they can be certified or they can be highly trained. Same with Linda Mood Bell. Linda Mood Bell is very structured, and if somebody is trained in that, you want to find out, or in any training, a lot of schools will say, oh, we have trained instructors. We send them to training. I heard this just the other day. It's crazy. All right. And, so I said, oh, that's great that you have people that are trained. And I said, so how long have you been trained? What are you trained in? And, what is the background? And, thanks, David. And, so what I'm wondering is, what is it that makes them so trained? Most of the time they'll say 40 hours of training. That's what they'll say. And I don't get why that's being said. And that is highly trained, because it's not. All right. So you need to make sure you find out exactly how much training they have had, because 40 hours does not cut it. All right? So if it does for you, great. It does not for me, okay? You cannot be fully versed in a reading program that is highly recommended, like Morton Gillingham, and need to be a certified instructor that takes 1 year to get group or individual, one or the other. You can get both into one in 1 year. So that is highly qualified, because you have to have a bachelor's and then you have to, go and you get this certification. 40 hours, anybody can do 40 hours. If I had 40 hours of some sort of training, I would not call myself highly qualified to teach a child reading. No way. I wouldn't even want to touch that, because I wouldn't want to be the one responsible if I couldn't have that child reading. You know what I mean? So it's crazy to me that people actually will raise their hand in IEP and say, hey, I'm highly trained. I have 40 hours of training, and want to put themselves out there like that. Would you? I wouldn't. And it's not sufficient, and it's not appropriate. And the reason they seem to think it is appropriate, I have yet to have that question answered. If you have the answer, please tell me, because I'm sorry, but 40 hours is not highly qualified. Just my thoughts. Okay, so the next one I really love is the CELF 5, CELF 5. And that's to assess student language and communication skills in a variety of contexts, all right? And it determines the presence of a language disorder and describes the nature of the language disorder. So if your child has speech and language impairments, this is a good assessment for them. All right? So the next one is the TAPS 4. That's TAPS-4. All right? And that is auditory processing. Now, a lot of schools will say, oh, the speech therapist to do that, or psychologist to do that. Really, an audiologist should do that. And schools contract out with audiologists, because there's a lot of children who have auditory processing issues, and it is a huge, huge issue if it's not addressed, and can cause a lot of deficits. So an audiologist should be the one doing that assessment. I haven't had a lot of issues with that one, of if that assessment's done by it not being done by an audiologist. I've never come across that yet, but if you have trouble with that, that's something you want to address, because it shouldn't be a problem. All right, so the next one is a VPS. That's the visual processing skills. Obviously, that's very important in daily life. It's important in reading. It's important in anything that your child is being provided, so that they can learn and continue to learn. A lot of things in life and learning and teaching and so forth is visual. And so that's an important aspect of learning. Okay. So the next one, and the last one that I asked for, if needed, is the ADOS. So ADOS. That's the test that will say, because schools cannot diagnose, just so you know, it's the one that will show autistic traits. Okay. So it's one of those that delivers that information. So those are the things that I really ask for. All right. I like certain ones for a reason. All right. And it's just important to me that a assessment have a variety of things within it that is important. And that's why I never just ask for a psycho ed. A psycho ed, all the schools typically will do is the WISC, WIAT, KTEA. And I like the WISC and the KTEA. Those are my two faves, but you also need to do the curriculum based to really hone in on where that deficit is and get even deeper. I always say you got to dig. In my big course, Rock the IEP, I always say you got to hunt and gather. You got to hunt down that information, like giving the norm-based test, finding out where the deficit is, and then what? You have to gather the information. So in the curriculum base that would support the norm-based is focusing in on all those deficit areas that the norm-based showed. So then you're able to really dig down and say, okay, so the comprehension is coming from the child does not have a big vocabulary, which is where they really need to start. And if the vocabulary is not there, but teachers want to throw children into comprehending what they're reading, not going to happen. All right, you got to go back, start with the vocabulary, and they got to be able to paint that picture in their head of cat and cat, dog and dog, and paint those words and be able to formulate that. And then they move on, to other aspects of the elements of reading. You cannot I can't tell you how many times I've seen comprehension goals in a child's IEP who has no idea how to read. That's not where they are. I don't care what age they are. You cannot have comprehension goals in an IEP if the child cannot read yet. Okay? You have to start at the basics. If you want them to learn, you got to start from the basics. You can't put a child in algebra if they don't know how to add, subtract, multiply, and divide. So this fast pace of school and push to get them here when they're not there is frustrating to me. What's even more frustrating too is when you have a child that is, say, 14 or 15 and the schools will put the child in an algebra class and they're still on addition, subtraction, and multiplication. I understand the concept of putting them with their peers, which you should, but not into a class that is going to make them feel insufficient. I always think about what is more important, putting them with their peers in math or making them feel insufficient. Okay, so which one won? Making them feel insufficient. So I wouldn't put them in an algebra class. All right, they can be with their peers at lunch, at art, at whatever it is that they have, PE, etc. But if they're not in algebra and they're in addition and subtraction, but you want to put them in algebra and give them a modification of addition and subtraction in that class, that's not cool either. So we have to look at the mental aspect along with the aspect of putting them in with their general peers. All right, because you can still put them in with general peers and not teach them in a classroom where it's way over their level. They're not even close to. So that's not going to make them feel good. So what do you do when they do put them in a class that they don't belong? I get them out of the class. They don't belong there, so they shouldn't be there, So I immediately take my child. Or if it was my child, I'd take her out. I've done it many times, just like I've kicked people off my IEP team a lot. If they cannot hold their own with me, okay, I'm going to tell you guys this. If the IEP team, my IEP team, cannot hold their own with me, they're off. They're gone. They are no longer on my team. All right? The director of special education is always there. And if you can't hold your own with me, you cannot be on my child's team. And I'm a tough cookie. So you're either all in or get out. And that is how I run the show. So I don't run the team. I run the show when it comes to my child. And I make sure that that's very clear. All right. There's no dictation. There's no bossiness. But I'm very, very, very strict on the fact that this is my child and you don't get to dictate to me an agenda for the IEP meeting. I love an agenda. Oh my God. I tell them to go take that and shove it. I always send an email back and say, you can take that agenda and put it where the sun don't shine. And there's no policy, there's no law, there's nothing that is required to have an agenda. You're not going to dictate when I say what I say, how long I say it. You're not going to tell me what I have to say. I mean, Did something happen that made you some sufficient person that can tell me what to say? No. Don't be run like that. You know, it has to be team based and team centered. And if they don't want to play as a team, then you have to be the team. All right? Because this is your child. Because at the end of the day, you're the parent. All right? So you have to bring your team together if they're not on track and say, look, we really need to discuss this. I'd really like us to be a team. I really want us to preserve this relationship, but we have boundaries here and we have to come together because this is not happening. And so we can move forward and go fight it out, or we can come together as adults and make it work. So you guys gotta just push hard and push back. I was recently talking to a parent this evening, and the team is killing her, telling her stuff that is, and she's in Texas, and telling her things that are completely not right, illegal, and she just doesn't know what to say and do. And it's unfortunate. I, I mean, in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, if I just emailed this team, if I just email, because it's insane. They know they can get away with it, though. Don't let them get away with it. All right. If you're at that point with your team where they're just not listening to you anymore, that you're a joke to them, that they're done, they ain't listening to you. You've tried, they're not listening. All right. That's when you got to get an advocate or attorney or something, because you're not fixing that. All right. You're gonna fix it. All right. You got to bring someone in who knows their stuff, puts it in its place, and then it's gonna, in time come together. But you got to know when that hard stop is and you're not getting anywhere anymore, because it does happen and you don't want to find yourself kind of pushed against the wall and then you're kind of just doing what they say because you don't know what else to do. Okay. All right. So another one that there's a WJ5 Woodstock Johnson. It's okay. It's more of like an IQ type test. So much to learn. Thank you. Oh, you're welcome. Yes, please share. Thank you, Marlene. So it's okay. I'm sure you guys have heard of the Woodstock Johnson. It has vocabulary. It has some reading. It's okay. Not my favorite. All right. The WISC. I love the WISC and I love the KTEA. One thing that the KTEA has that I really like is listening comprehension. I like that. That's a good thing to have. And it's a processing thing. So if something's processing, something's working. And if they're not, then you need to know so you know what to do to get that better and to make that better. All right. I love everything memory. Everything memory. All right. If you don't have your memory, such as working memory, then things come in and stay versus come out and express. Excuse me. Talking too much. All right. So you want to make sure that if a child has working memory issues, I say this all the time, it's fixable. All right. It's not fixable as in it's just going to go away, but it's fixable as in there's so many accommodations that you can do that's going to accommodate that child so that the problem is not just sitting there and causing more and more problems, which it will. Working memory is what? Written expression, reading, and math. And one thing that you need to look at, I've seen this a lot, okay? is a child that's not doing good in reading, that has expressive language issues, all right? And then of course written expression. If you have expressive language issues and you have reading concerns and issues and deficits, your written expression is not going to be there. There's no way, right? If you don't have comprehension, you're not going to be able to put it on paper. So a lot of people say, when I say, oh, that really looks like working memory, they'll say, well, they're not struggling in math. Math is actually their good point. Well, here's what you have to understand is math in the beginning is not what's going to be affected. It's math as you go. So, for example, certain math, you have to read. All right. So once they get to a certain point, it's going to come to a hard stop. So that's where then you'll see the reading, the math, the written expression. All right. So if they're still on this addition, subtraction track, then you're not going to see that deficit in the mathematical area right away. All right. So don't disregard working memory. If there's all the signs except they're still doing okay in math, it will catch up. Okay? So you have to fix the problem and not ignore it just because they're doing okay in math, because they're still in those basics where they're not really reading it yet. Okay? So memory processes involves the ability to store and retrieve information in a useful way. All right, so measures of this process include short-term memory, working memory, associative memory, recognition, and long-term retrieval. Okay, so that's really important. Memory is my thing. I love learning about this. I'll tell you why. Okay, quick story. In 2015, I was crossing the street to go teach a class. All right. I was crossing the street physically with my suitcase full of, notebooks and paperwork, and I was hit by a truck. All right. I was thrown 25 feet. They said I was lucky to live, blah, blah, blah. That decapitated my arm. You can probably see the scar, maybe. Okay. I decapitated my arm. It was like completely, literally, it didn't come out. Okay. The bones didn't come out, but it was like literally cut in half. The bones, both of them. And I had a mild TBI. So and I broke my legs and I was a mess. Okay. I was a mess. But the worst part was the memory. And this is how I now associate and feel for children who struggle with memory, because I remember I lost all short-term memory for 6 months completely. And I'll just give you an example of how crazy it feels. Is I forgot my keys. All right, you know how we all forget our keys every once in a while, and they were upstairs on my bed. I just forgot my keys, right? So I was walking out the door, I forgot my keys, and then literally white. I saw nothing. There was no retrieval of, oh, I was in the kitchen. Oh, I was up in my bedroom. There was none of that. It was blank, you know? It like reminded me of some people, how they say that they had a near-death experience or whatever and they saw a white light. No joke. It was white. There was nothing there. And then I remember where I would be talking and then I would lose my train of thought. Like it would just leave. I had no idea what the conversation was that I was trying to have. Like I was talking and having a conversation, and then bam, I would just stop talking because I forgot what I was saying. Like it was just gone. And it was hard. It was depressing, and it was hard, and it was a struggle. And I'm an adult, and, I didn't lose, any of my education or anything like that. But the story of it is not about me. It's about the fact that now I have complete understanding of what it feels like to not remember. All right. It reminds me too of, my daughter's autistic, of when she was completely nonverbal for the longest time. I'm sure many of you have heard her talk. She doesn't shut up now. but she was nonverbal for years. And I now can understand, like she had it all in her. And even if your child's still nonverbal, it's there. It's just can't come out. And I know what that feels like because I've been through it because of my accident. And I also know that the brain heals. Am I 100%? No, I'll never be 100%. Again, was I 100% before the accident? Probably not. I don't think anybody is. But bottom line, I can feel for that. I understand it, just from my own experience. I'm not going through what they are, but I went through my thing, and it helps you to relate. And so working memory is important. And the CASL is a good one. The one I was telling you about, the CASL-2. All right. The Self-5 is great. I love the Self-5, the CTOP-2, the phonological awareness and so forth, the phonological memory. All right. And then you have the KABC2. That's one I have not spoken about yet. And that one is sequential and learning. All right. One or the other. So how does your child learn? All right. That's a good one. It's also the NEPSI I was telling you about earlier is focused on memory, delayed words, list inferences, memory for designs, delayed narrative memory, sentence repetition, things like that. You have the SB5. That's the Binet. What is his name? I forgot. I'm so tired. The Stanford Binet. All right. The Stanford Binet is 5. Is on working memory, and letter number sequencing, auditory memory, and so forth. These are more assessments that are like not my faves. I named my faves. The WIS-5, love it. That's working memory as well. Letter number sequencing, auditory working memory. You have your cognitive. Those are all really good. All right. So there is more. I've talked long enough tonight. I'm just hitting an hour, so I'm going to let you guys go. And I'm tired, so I'm going to go. But we're going to get into language and processing, phonological processing, problem solving, visual motor integration. We're going to get into a lot more. I made some charts up too in regards to like the KTEA and the WIS-5. I did a kind of like a sheet on the pros of each and what one has versus the other. So I'll go through that with you. I might even post it for you so that you can kind of see them side by side. I like to look at things side by side and say, okay, the WISC offers this one, the KTEA offers this one. I love them both. How do I associate one with one child and one with another? So I look at that a lot because when I'm presenting this to a team, because I've looked at the child's whole scholastic file, because that's also in my first email, I want to make sure that what is covered is everything. And guess what? Your child can actually have the WISC-5 and the KTEA done together. Okay? Not together, but one and then the other. And I'll tell you, I have a student. It's a 51-page evaluation, and the assessor did almost every assessment. It was the best assessment I've ever seen. And that's one thing I was going to tell you earlier on, before I hop off here, is if your child, okay, so say your child is really struggling and these are the areas, and okay, you've agreed on the certain assessments you want to get done, all right? So say you've agreed on the KTEA, you've agreed on the CTOP-2, you've agreed on assistive technology, you've agreed on an FBA, whatever it is that you kind of agreed with, okay? Now, what if there's certain things that are going on and you're just not sure if it's a deficit or not, but there's something going on. Do you leave it alone? Do you just throw in some tests that could possibly show what would be a deficit, or what is a deficit, or what is happening, so that you can find out more? What is it that would be the best choice, Because you don't want to put a child through 5 more assessments if they're not needed, right? But you don't want to not put your child through 5 assessments if they possibly could show something that you just didn't know. So you have to really go with your gut there, because the school ain't doing it. All right? So I'm just going to keep it real with you. If you feel like something's going on and you're saying something's going on, but I just don't know what it is. I've said that so many times about my daughter, and I just had to finally push and say, we don't know. She's doing this. We don't know what's going on. You don't, I don't, and we need to figure it out. That's what smart people do. I literally said that to my team. That's what smart people do. And so finally, but it's like, I felt like I had to act like a crazy woman to get my child extra evaluation so that we can figure out what the heck was going on, So if you have to act like crazy women, men, grandmas, do it, because when you figure it out, then you can focus on making it better. Okay, and helping them improve. Maybe it was something that was so critical and you just didn't realize it. That happens all the time. So go with your gut if you think that, and it's okay to not know. None of us know everything. So don't feel bad. Don't feel like it's your fault. Don't feel like you failed your child. You have not. And just if you feel your gut saying, hey, something's wrong, I just don't know what it is, and it's driving you crazy. I hate not knowing. It drives me nuts. Like, I will figure it out. I will stay up all night and research. I don't care what I have to do. I'll figure it out. But it's frustrating. If you don't know, it's frustrating. And your child's struggling, but it's not like a straight up, okay, it's math. Okay, it's reading. You know what I mean? So you have to really play with it. There's times, guys, where we have to convince the team, even if it means going to mediation, even if it means that you have to fight all the way to the death, you know what I'm saying? Because why have our kids struggle if we can help in some way to make it better? And it's okay that we don't know, because there is not in special education one way, which a lot of times they will want to make it one way. Or we don't do that in our district, or we don't have that in our district, or that's not something we normally do. Okay, there's always a first time for everything. So fight for what needs to happen. And if you don't know what needs to happen, guess what? We got to try it all until we figure it out, because that's what teams do. That's what people do to try to help a child. Okay? I've said this in an IEP meeting. I said, so if you got sick and you had no idea what it was, are you telling me you would go to one doctor and that doctor couldn't figure it out? You would be like, okay, that's it, done. You wouldn't. So I've said that to teams. So guess what? You would go to another doctor and another doctor and another doctor until you figured it out, right? That's what we got to do with our kids. That's what you're going to do with my kid. You're going to do whatever it takes to figure out what the problem is. And then when we have the problem, then we can fix it. We can't fix something we don't know, so we got to do whatever it takes to figure it out. Teams hate that. They hate it. But I don't care. And you need to not care either. You need to make sure that you figure it out. Okay? I'm going to leave you with that. Have a wonderful evening, guys. I see you guys posted. Thank you. If you have any questions, please post them. I am going to respond. I promise. If not, WhatsApp me. I put my WhatsApp stuff above. You can PM me. I like WhatsApp better. I respond a lot quicker. Easy to download it. You sign up with Facebook. Facebook owns WhatsApp. So you literally download it in your app store. You go above, it's somewhere above, you know, in the page, and you click my link and bam. Okay? So it's super easy, not technical. So if you don't know anything about technology, you don't have to. It's so easy. But that's a great way to get me. But worst case, you can PM me. But just know that it is not, I'm not quick at that. I'm quick at the WhatsApp. So anyway, PM me if you need anything or WhatsApp me, and I will talk to you soon. Have a wonderful evening. Tomorrow's Friday, Picture Friday over on the group, so we get to post all our pictures about our kiddos. And if you are needing a discovery call, you have a lot of things going on, make sure to WhatsApp me or message me. I am booked through February and even into 2 weeks in March. But if you're wanting to get on my books or you're wanting to get some help with your IEPs, getting it together, whatever it is that you need, please let me know and I will get you in. I'm probably taking maybe 2 or 3 more clients for March. But that's it. Okay. So I will talk to you guys soon. Have a wonderful, wonderful evening. Bye.